Yo, quickly before the video starts, if you guys like any of the flashlight or flashbang saves you see, or you like the discussion, it would be appreciated if you guys sub, or if you go follow my Twitch where you can see all of it live. I play every single day, stream every single day, and I would love to see everyone there. Now, to the video. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Kobe back with another video, and today I want to do more of a discussion type video, and I want to talk about flashbangs versus flashlights. Recently on stream, I've been using flashbangs a lot more. Just because I'm stingy with add-ons. I don't like to use add-ons a lot, because I don't want to get used to things that aren't readily available. You can't, like, if you use a flashlight every game, eventually you're going to run out of them. So when flashbang came around, it's a fun way to get saves, and also you don't have to, worry about ever running out of it because it's a perk, right? I feel like a lot of people don't even know how to use flashbangs correctly, because a lot of times when I get a certain flashbang save, people say that they've never seen anything like it before in chat when I'm streaming, and killers that I go against, they never really expect it, and even sometimes they'll say, I didn't even know that was possible. So I just want to discuss today the positive and negatives for each and why I think that flashbang is better. So to get started with flashbang, something that I want to talk about, and I'll have videos on the screen playing, giving examples the whole time. Flashbangs are unavoidable for the killer unless he downs the person with the flashbang. You can actually phase through the killer, and you lose your collision with the killer for a little bit during that drop animations. And you'll see plenty of examples of things similar to that, but I want to show you that it's literally unavoidable for the killer. And you could argue that this is very busted, and I can understand why someone would say that this shouldn't be changed, because flashbangs are much more risky than flashlights. Using a flashbang requires you to be so close to the killer if you're not using sprint burst. It's actually kind of, it's kind of dumb. And a good killer, sometimes I would assume would probably catch on. I don't think anyone's ever gotten a flashbang save on me. Just because not many people are even good with it to begin with. Like, it would require a good player and then a good player to also be good with flashbang. It's just too uncommon to go against, and I feel like that's a part of the reason why people don't see it a lot. But even though it's unavoidable, you literally have to be within like 8 meters of the killer, or it's impossible for you to get the save. You're just not close enough. If they face the other direction, and even then you still have to get like 3 or 4 meters within the killer for the flashbang to affect them. But I still think that it should be changed. Also, another reason why I feel like flashbangs are better, the killer can't prepare for them. The killer doesn't know your perks before going into the game, but he can always see the item you're holding. If you're running flashlights, he'll know, okay, I have to try my best to always be looking at a wall and to pay attention around me. But if no one's running a flashlight, but you're running flashbang, and the killer doesn't see you before he gets his first down, you can just get a free save. And there's not much you can really do about it besides be paying very close attention to hear footsteps, see certain scratch marks that may not be the person that he's chasing. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just has to be very, very aware if he doesn't see you, because there's no indication that you're running flashbang. Something I want to talk about also is audio in this game is very bad. So if the killer's around a corner or through a wall, maybe on a map like Larry's or Hawkins, which is soon to be out of the game, they can't actually hear it when you drop the flashbang. And this can lead to really good chase use of the perk, much better than flashlights, for reasons I'll get into. And then setup flashbangs while they're carrying a survivor are also really, really good, because they can't really tell. Like, it's so quiet around the corner. I don't even know if it's actually audible, because there's almost no reaction whenever you do it, and you can test it in your own games. And I'll put a video on the screen of what this type of setup flashbang looks like. But these setup flashbangs, there's no way that you can do this with a flashlight. You can't set, like, after the killer picks someone up, if you miss the flashlight, you missed it. There's no more using your flashbang or flashlight. But with flashbang, you can still use it if you're in the right set of circumstances. But this is also a very good element in chase, because it blocks out audio. And even if you drop it at pallets the same way you blind at pallets with a flashlight, if you drop it right there, there's like an audio suppression that happens when someone uses a flashbang that you don't get with flashlights. So the killer can't hear your footsteps and just follow you. And that makes it by far a much, much more better choice and chase, because everyone has seen a good killer just look down after you blind them at a pallet and just follow you because they hear your footsteps or hear you moaning if you're not using iron will. I also want to talk about how flashbangs are so oppressive when used together, and how in critical moments it's so oppressive for the killer. Flashbangs, when used together, and I'm specifically in my mind thinking about endgame, once the killer gets it down, unless he's one of those top killers in the game like Spirit, Nurse, Blight, Demo, Huntress, that can get injuries really quickly and that can play around pallets that may be up on the map, flashbangs are very oppressive because you just can't snowball fast enough to prevent them, and you also can't pick up because the save is unavoidable. And it leads to these incredibly oppressive and moments endgame, and the killer kind of feels like they have no control over the situation unless they just down you. And of course they can keep faking it over and over and over and over, but that doesn't really work with a good player because they'll never put themselves in a completely obvious bad situation. And yeah, but that's a very good element of flashbangs, is that when they're used together, they're very oppressive. And when I feel like flashlights are used together, you're taking up item slots. And since the addition of Circle of Healing, that's not that big of a deal because you pretty much are walking around with the med kit, and Circle of Healing is busted, but that's a different topic for a different video. But using flashlights together can take away from toolboxes, maps, med kits, and flashbangs. I feel like since survivors have 16 perk slots, you can sacrifice 1 or 2 perk slots for something that puts so much pressure on the killer. I really feel like it's a very good choice for a perk slot versus not the best choice for item slot, because items are so much better in this game than anything else, it feels like. But I want to recognize where flashlights are also better, because there's an argument that flashlights can be better, and I would understand that. I want to talk about how you always have a flashlight, especially with new Built to Last. At the beginning of the match, middle of the match, end of the match, you should pretty much never run out of battery with a flashlight. You should pretty much never, because there's just so much to go around pretty much, and that means that in high tense moments, you'll always have it. There's never going to be a moment where you needed your flashlight and you didn't have it pretty much nowadays. But with a flashbang, you may have not crafted it yet, or you may have already used your 2 flashbangs that you had in your inventory, and now you're doing a gen, and you could have really used because your teammate's dead on hook, and you want to save them, and you needed to get that save, but you didn't have it because you already used them and you didn't spend enough time on a gen. And that is by far a huge benefit that flashlights have, is that you always have it. They're way more available through the match. Flashlights are also much more fun, and they feel more fun for the survivor. And what I mean by this is that with flashbang, sometimes when you get the save, you can kind of feel like you're just cheesing the game, and that it's just kind of dumb, and you don't really, it doesn't feel good to use it because it's so unavoidable sometimes, and the killer just is so, like, there's not much he can do if he doesn't know that you're there. But with flashlights, the killer will know that you have a flashlight. He'll have time to react, and the timing is a lot harder on flashlights because you actually have to have patience. With flashbang, you can pretty much drop it instantly because of how close you have to be. Once you learn the cap on it, like, okay, after this point, I can't get the flashbang save, that's all you need to learn. With flashlights, you have to learn the minimum and the maximum, and it's much more skillful, and you show your skill more, and that is fun for a lot of people. With flashbangs, you pretty much just run, and as soon as you get to the point where you can face with the killer, instantly drop it, and then you'll get the save pretty much every time. But with flashlights, you actually have to be good, and that can be fun because players want to feel rewarded for the time they put in the game into the skill that they have earned. I also want to I also want to branch out on this skill conversation that I'm starting with flashlights. Your skill shows so much more when you're using a flashlight versus when using a flashbang. A good player using flashbang, I feel like in a couple of months, you won't be able to tell versus a good or bad player, because it's going to be so easy to tell, like, okay, this person just knows how to use flashbang, but it's not hard. You know what I'm saying? It's like old Freddy. It's not hard, but you're still doing well just because it's so easy. You know what I'm saying? Um, and that skill extending even further is very, very rewarding. I'll put a couple flashlight saves. This whole video, I'm sure you guys have been seeing flashlights and flashbangs, but I'll show a couple flashlights that the killer can't really prepare for this, and this is just crazy reward for knowing how to use flashlights well and being in the right place at the right time. Um, Once you get good with a flashbang, you don't get rewarded much for it. Like, since I learned the minimum skill level you need to use it, there's no way for me to get really better with it. It's just these repeat farming saves. But with flashlights, there are certain situations where you can get the craziest saves. And it's very rewarding to be good with them, but it's not rewarding to be a very, very good player using flashbang. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. I want to hear what you guys have to say too. Let me know if you guys have seen flashbangs like this or not. I'm really actually very curious to know. I also want to hear what you guys have to say. What do you guys feel like the consensus is? Because I feel like people think flashlights are better than flashbangs, and I feel like it couldn't be more opposite of the truth.